Hey everyone, in today's video I am going to do something that I should have done like 2 years ago as of recording this. I have a pretty good design for a wood harvester. I did a concept video when I was first designing it, and then I did a build video of it in an old survival world playthrough thingy that I was doing, but I've never done a proper tutorial video of it. This, in my opinion, is a very good design. It could be a little bit better, but it's a really good design. Um, it cuts the trees, it cuts them down, and then it cuts them into pieces and then refines them and stores them. It is 2 pieces, technically 3 pieces. It can either be a truck or a trailer. And yeah, I think it's a pretty good design. And as I said, I've never done a proper tutorial for it. So I'm going to finally do that. So, what we're going to need, or at least what I like to use for it, I'm actually going to switch out a couple blocks. I'm going to put that in instead, the extruded metal, because I like using that for my chassis now. So we're going to need a block for the body, whatever you want to use, wood, metal, whatever. A block for the chassis, which can either be metal block 1, extruded metal, whatever. Glass for the windows, a wedge, or a rounded piece of some kind, like the ducting, if you want that for the little like rounded detail bits. We will need the pipes and bearings, of course, and then you'll need a gas tank, a battery pack holder thingy, an engine, 3 motors, at least 2 chests, 2 refine bots, 2 resource collectors, 4 of the saw blades, and then 8 of the sport springs, and then a bunch of controllers. I'm not exactly sure how many. We'll also end up needing a piston, and then 6 of the big wheels. And then we'll need a normal driver's seat and passenger seat when we get to that. And that's pretty much it. So, we're going to get started by simply... I'm just going to build the entire truck. If you only want the chassis, I will jump to that. Or, not jump to it, but I'll put a timestamp. But it's easiest for measurement-wise to build it, the whole thing. So first, place down your motor, and then we're going to go 3 wide, and then come up to the front of the motor, like so. Oops, that went out too far. And then we're going to come to the side, like so. Should do that on this side as well. And hopefully there's enough lighting in here to see everything. There should be. Okay. So now we put our other motors just kind of like that for now. And then the gas tank on one side, if it cooperates. I'm gonna go like this, just so I can put everything on the way I want it to go. I'm going to delete all these wood blocks in a moment. These are just so I can place everything in the orientation that I want. Okay, so a gas tank on one side. I believe it goes there. And then that there. I also haven't built this thing in about a year or more. So I'm going off of kind of foggy memory for it. Okay, so now once we have this, we will want to make sure that this comes out by 1, which it does. Then put a little uppy piece like that. An elbow on either side. Press up and not down. And then a bearing. I'm going to use this elbow instead of just, I'm going to use the 3-way elbow instead of just this normal one, so that I can put on tie rod if I feel like it. And then other bearings, and then that's where the wheels go. We are now going to grab our body piece, which I'm just going to use wood for the sake of keeping it light. And that comes out to just cover the front, like so. I'm also going to grab the wheels really quick, because they help with measuring this out. Ooh, I can just stick that there for now. Okay, so front wheel and front wheel. Body comes out from here, like so, to there. And we just kind of encase everything like so. Now we should have a rectangle that looks like this. And kind of bottom. Okay. Now I'm going to raise this up a little bit so that I can actually put a floor on it. Go like this. And then put on the floor. I'm likely going to cut out the middle of the floor later to put on the controllers and whatnot, but that can wait. Okay, so now, my typical cab design. So we go by 3 by 3 there, bring it back, and then same like that. And then our back 3 high wall. And then the windshield on this is a bit higher than what I typically do. I believe it's 4. So I usually do 3, so let's go up by 4, because I believe that's what it is. Or is it 3? It might only be 3. I'm not entirely sure, I can't quite remember. I'm gonna grab the seat and check. Ooh, where's the seat? Driver's seat. We can now get rid of the fuel things. Okay, so there's that seat. Right, the minimum height should be 2. And then the roof. Oops, that's the wrong block. Okay, so the minimum height for something should be like I said, 2, and then the roof. I believe. Come on. I can't quite remember. I'm gonna go with 3, because that just looks too low. And then the roof. I also did this backwards. This is the front, not this end. This end is the front. So there we go. Okay. So on the very corner, a 3, and then on this little part, another 3 on both sides. And then we go up by 3 there. And then I'll just kind of frame out the roof for now. That way, if I need to, it's open and I can easily get to things. Okay, now, for the middle, there's going to be a little spot that pokes out. I kind of forgot about that. Leave. It just goes like that. I'm probably going to cut this video a lot too, just for the sake of I'm thinking so much. So yeah, don't forget this little piece. And then we need to bring the fender out, so, and then across the top of the tire, right on top of the wheel. This vehicle also doesn't have your normal suspension. It doesn't use any the springs or suspension parts. Don't go directly to the wheels. It's a bit of a weird design. I did this because of how heavy it is, or it can be. Ready? Go. So that is the front done, basically, other than just the roof, the windows. I'll put the windows in really quick, the glass for the windows. And then I will also cut out the spot for the door. This takes or uses reverse or suicide doors. So just cut out a little notch there and put on a bearing. Go. This way you can pop on the top of the fender from the front and then get in. And then when we get to it, the lights will go in the fenders. Now, the middle to the back. I'm just trying to remember exactly how I connected everything. Because like I said, it's been a really long time. Okay, so I think I remember how I did this. Put a bearing on this part. And then I'm actually going to grab the bigger pipes, just because it makes it look stronger. Parts are these ones. I'll be using these pipes. And then I can also replace the motors for now too. So, one pipe goes there, with a bearing on the top and bottom for strength, because in survival, things are still fairly weak. And then we bring our chassis out to the same width as front. And then we kind of box it in to make it nice and strong, like so. Might be wondering or questioning or whatever, if I've got steering here, why make it articulating middle? Well, it has articulating steering and normal steering so that it can have a tighter turning radius. And then this bearing here allows the cab to rotate independently from the rest of it. Now we basically just bring this back. I'm going to take a moment for my tinnitus to go away, because that really hurts. Okay, there we go. So, as I was waiting for my tinnitus flare thingy to go away, just put a chest on either side, lined up like so with the chassis, and then we put a refine bot on either side, attached to chest. And then this still needs to come out a little bit more. Oops, wrong button. Like so that we can put the resource boxes on it. And these should have a one gap middle in between them. And then the chassis ends where they do. Okie dokie. So now, for the suspension, the rear suspension is different. We're going to bring out a bar to, I believe, in line with the chest. Same distance as on the front, so bring it out by 3. and just do that for looks. And then that is lined up with this foot or support on the refine bot. And then we're going to do the same thing, I believe, after this one. It'll be a bit easier to line up once I've got the wheels on it. Okay, so bearings, and then a T. And we'll come back like so, all the way to here, and then an elbow. The weight of the vehicle, foot's going to sleep, will rest here. Like I said, this is pretty heavy, so I'm not using actual springs. So we use this to support the weight, and then this elbow here just stops the wheels from swinging out too far. And then we kind of do the same here. I might shorten this, I might not. But either way, this one was 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Oops, 4 is here, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. That should be just enough space for the wheels. Yes, it is. And then if I sew it aside, we can bring this wheel forwards, which I'm actually going to do. Bring this wheel forwards a little bit. Go, so that I can put on the elbow that stops it from rotating too much. And I believe the wheels go all the way to the back. One, 2, 3, then 4. My tutorials used to be so much better, but I haven't played this in a while. I haven't really built anything in this for a long time, let alone this. So there we go. We have our rear wheels on. I'm going to do the other side really quick. Okay. So, from the bottom, it should look like this now. So I'll kind of go from the front, the middle pivot, and work my way back. So you can have like a decent reference on how it should look. And then from the side, I'm also going to move it forwards a little bit so it's not clipping into that anymore. You can see here how the wheels can't go up, but they can drop down a little bit. Okay. So now, we are going to go on the side of here, with the wood, and then bring it up, and then forwards, to one block in front of the wheel, down to the same height as the chassis, and then I went a little too far with that, into the front of chest. Another thing you can do is instead of putting the fuel and batteries under the floor here, is put them on the sides here so that they're easier to access. I'm also going to now throw on 2 more chests for the extra storage. And that should basically be that. Just fill this in. That's the wrong block. Nope. Fill all this in like it's an actual floor. so. I'm going to bring it back a little bit more if I can. Looks like the thing for the wheel's getting in the way, but I can do that. Okay. Should have done that from underneath. So now we've got basically just a floor there. Then I will fill it in on this side as well. I'll just kind of fast forward it while I'm doing this side. Here we go. We've got rear fenders and a little bit of floor that we can stand on if need be. And then I'll likely put the the controllers and stuff for the back in here. Move one of the motors in here, because as I said, this can work as a trailer. And what you do for that, to turn it into a trailer, is instead of the front end truck part connecting here, you just put a trailer hitch on it. Extend it a tiny bit and use a U-joint, and then you can tow it with something and use it as a trailer. But the front end is nice to have so that you can cut things with it. Speaking of cutting, we also need to remove this. I went a little too wide. And this is where the arm for the saw blades will go. Which I'll do now, I guess. We need the pistons now. ISTON. I will replace the chest with it since we don't need any more. And then I'm actually going to no, I can't do what I was thinking. I was going to extend the chassis up and change the design a little bit, but I can't. Okay, so put a T on there with a piston, which isn't really needed. I don't think the piston's necessarily needed, so I'm going to skip that for now in case, unless I actually end up needing it. And go up by 2 like so. So now we've got like a T. Put on the elbows. And then, ooh, I forgot the sensors. Okay. I also like to use sensors on this design so that it doesn't run and waste any power when it doesn't need to. Which means you're also going to need some logic gates, but it's simple to set up. Okay, now we put on our saws. That might... Is that wide enough? I think that's wide enough. Okay, so yeah, it just kind of flops down, cuts at the stump, and then the tree falls, and then you turn around, and then lower the back thing we're about to build to cut up the tree. So, we now put on our piston, put on a little arm that comes down like so. Ooh, I put this in the wrong spot. Okay, this is supposed to be flush. I knew I messed up a little bit on the back, I just didn't quite catch it in time. Okay, so we go like this, and then down by 1, and then out, T. This part can be a bit of a pain in the butt to build, but oh well. So there we go. So we put a cross member in between the chassis rails, one forwards from the very back. Piston, the arm, coming out like so, to this thingy, I'll call it for now. Now we need to go out to the width of the wheels, I believe. And then use the three-way elbow. Or, oh, I could use just one of the long pipes, but whatever. So you go out 4 from the middle. I'll use a big pipe on the top, so it's a bit easier to measure for those watching. And then go up, connect this. Then we go out. So, I'm also going to grab the light, because the tail light's attached to this. Grab the normal light, replace the motor with it for now. Right. Wrong spot, as it should go like that. Both of these face down. This will make sense in a moment. But both of those face down. And then we put our knees. Other elbows. So now we've got like this little S bend. And then we come forwards by 2, I believe. And then I'm in with a T. I'm gonna have to measure this a little bit. Or not measure it, but make sure the measurement's right. But from the S bend, you come out 2, and then a T, and then your off-road suspension, and then your saw blade. That looks about right. And these are the blades that actually do all the cutting. So I will bring this forwards by 2, and then the T, and the spring again. Suspension, I should call it. With the blade, like so. And then we come out 2 from that, I believe. The top and bottom might not be the same length. Need to kind of fill it out a little bit more to see how far it needs to go. Because the bottom of it needs to support the weight of the top. So that's... I also forgot something. Should have also put a T here. So I'm going to quickly fix that. One moment. Okay, there we go. So, the springs allow the saw blades to move so that the trees can go in between them and kind of get pushed towards the collectors easier. And then this just kind of makes it look like it's properly supported. So I will do just a quick little examine, I'll say, of it so that you can see what it's supposed to look like so far. And then the other side is just the opposite of that side. Okay, so we come out 2 from here, and then I believe we now come back in on the bottom. And then the top, we just go straight at this point. And come out like this. So there's two after the spring, and then another S-bend to come in on the bottom, and the back just comes straight out to match. And then we have elbow on either side. This is the part where it can be a bit more annoying, because we have to build this half coming out, and then up and over, and then back in. But either way, come down like this as I mess up, I think. That looks a bit more accurate. And then just a normal T. If I measured this properly, back wheels should be on the ground level and touch in the middle. We also need the small wheels now, not the big ones. Parts, small wheels. Okay, yeah, that looks right. Okay, so these wheels are what actually move the log. And then again, the spring allows them to move and properly grip onto the log. So, we have 1 or 2 blocks in between each one. I'm going to say 2. Quickly measure this and make sure it's correct. Yes, okay. So, from this little S part and extension on the top, it goes in, and then with an elbow, bring it down and over, and just across like so. The first wheel goes in line with this bearing. This bearing will make sense in a few minutes when we put the controllers on. And then there are 2 blocks or 2 pipes in between each wheel. Now, this one, we are going to use elbow on the bottom, a T going in, and then a T going up. And then this is for the hoop that will go over. Once again, I kinda can't remember how tall the hoop is. This is why you don't go so long without building stuff and then just jump right back into it. Without, properly remembering. I believe it's about 3 high. So let's go 1, 2, 3. And then over. Ooh, yeah, that looks about right. So I'll give it another quick side shot. We have that comes down, S-bend, 2 pipes, T, and then 4, 1, 2, 3, and then 4 pipes on the top, 2 pipes on the bottom, and then an S, and then another pipe to make up the 4. This bearing goes in and attaches up here, and then 2 pipes, a T, 2 pipes, a T. And then that goes up by 3. And then it comes over to the middle. We're also going to put another bearing, or not bearing, but a sensor right there. I think I forgot to put a sensor down here as well, but I can put that on in a moment. By the way, that goes like that. And now we just rebuild this side, but I'm going to quickly throw a sensor there. And it shouldn't see the saw blades. It should only see the wood when we are sucking up a tree. I'll weld this back on. So, okay. So if I play around with the range, up that to 7, doesn't see the blades, but it sees me. Okay. Once again, this is only so we don't waste any power, because survival, you want to conserve as much power as you can. So I'm going to kind of just, I guess, fast forward building this side, as it's the exact same as that side. Okay, and there is what I kind of consider the tail of it. That looks about right. I will mention really quick that when I paused and put the wood on the side, that was just so you can use it for measurement as you're following along, see the 2 spots in between each T, and blah blah blah. So, now is time for the logic. As you can see, I'm in survival at the moment, a modded survival world. There's the ambulance outfit that I'm working on for the cozy. So, in the middle, the front isn't quite strong enough in survival. So what I typically do is on the front, come up here. Well, I actually use some pipes here. And then one small pipe there. And then some more pipes there. And it should help keep it from flexing too much. You can do it however you want, but you'll need a way to stop it from flexing in there. I'm also, sake of being able to turn this into a trailer easy, I'm going to move a couple things. I also forgot to put the engine in it. We don't need that anymore. Or those, or those, or those. Okay, so we need the motor and engine again. That's engine and the motor. That's a motor, not an electric engine. Motors use an external power source, and engines create their own power. So we need 2 motors on the back. I am going to put them as far into the middle as I can for weight distribution. Oops, I didn't want to fall in the middle. Okay, so I can put them that far. And then I will stick the engine in the front. Typically, I think, stick it up on here on one side. So, if you're planning on keeping it as its own separate vehicle that it drives on its own, keep the motors and fuel tanks in the front, but make sure you put the engine on either side. Also, in the standalone truck variant, the logic and like the controllers and the logic cube thingies go on the opposite side of the engine. But if you want it as a trailer, the motors go on the bottom, in between here, and then the logic and whatnot goes on top of them. And then you can put a battery pack on either side, or on top of that, for the power. I need the controller again. There we go. Okay. I also typically set these to different speeds. If you put this, one of the motors goes to the saw blades, one of them goes to the wheels. The saw blades should be faster than the wheels so that it can cut quickly. And then if the wheels are too slow, it'll waste some time in feeding this. It'll have a time where it's empty. If it goes too fast, it can jam and push wood out of the way and make it not cut properly. So we'll get to that in a moment. As I mentioned, I am now going to put on the logic. Also going to put the fuel tank back in the front. Oh, I messed that up a bit. We still need a motor on the front as well, because of the front blades, which I kind of forgot about. Alright, there we go. So we've got the motor for the front blades, and then the gas tank for the engine. How I typically do this to keep track of everything is the engine, of course, goes to the wheels. So I will do that now. Okay, so the frontmost motor goes to the front saw blades. And then the middle motor goes to the rear saw blades. And then the furthest back motor goes to these wheels. I recommend having at least the outer set of wheels attached to the motor, like so that you can at least grab the tree and then make sure the last bit gets shoved into the saw blades. But I typically connect all of them. So I'll say that again, just really quick. Front motor to the front blades, middle motor to the middle or the rear blades, and then the rear motor to the wheels. If you're using the truck variant, the motors will all be in line here with the battery on one side and the gas on the other side, but I'm trying to show both variants at the same time. So, now that that's hooked up, I'm going to preliminarily set that to 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The blades are set to 5, and the wheels are set to 3. Now I will work on the logic. First is the logic for the doors, which I usually tuck right there. Just a simple controller set to 90 and fast. Got to set this one too. There we go. I also forgot to get the switch, which is just right there. And I also need the seat again. Of course. Should be right here. Where'd it go? There it is. Okay, so we can now put the seats on. If you're doing the truck variant rather than the trailer, it's typically easiest to cut the floor out and do the logic without, say, the passenger seat, and put the engine under the driver's seat, the logic under the passenger seat, so that you can just do all the logic. Maybe even put a little trapdoor on the floor that you hit a switch and the door opens so you can easily access it. But for now, actually, why don't I do that really quick? So the way I would recommend doing that, cut out the floor like this, put a bearing there, like so, and then have your seat on top of that, with a controller tucked underneath somewhere that it'll fit, like so. So let's go, I don't know, 30 degrees. Sure that's going the right way. Should also make sure the doors are opening the right way. I believe they are. And now, if I put a switch on the dash, to kind of stick it there. Actions. Of course, I forgot. There we go. So now you can easily access whatever logic is in there if need be. Oops. Now the seat is getting in the way of the switch. Okay, so now that's the wrong piece. Nope. Got one door. Switch towards the front. I'm going to put it right there. Connect it to the seat. And then to the controller. And now we've got a front door. This back on the lift. And put this door on. So, I believe this is where I used to put the switches for the doors, but it doesn't really matter. And connect that up like before. I will likely move that one switch, so I'm just going to get rid of it for now, because it's technically not needed. Probably put the roof panel on as well, but I like to do something like this with it. I don't know why, but with the roof I kind of like doing it like that. And then with the wedges and whatnot, along here, basically the perimeter of the front end is where some of the wedges go. So I'm going to do that really quick. If you use the duct and then the frame holder, it can look a lot better, but frame holder, you need a mod to access, I believe. I'll just go like that, and then bring this back, kind of angle top of it, make it look a little bit better, add a little bit of detail to help it look a bit better. There we go. And then I'm also going to angle the bottom of the fenders really quick, and then I'll get onto the logic. You know, little things to help it look better. Do I still have the lights? Yes, I do. Might as well put the lights on while I'm up here. So cut out a little L shape. We've got one light, two lights. I'm going to angle that a bit differently. Put our lights in an L shape. Like so. This will basically be a headlight in high beam, and then turn signal, and like a side marker light. This one also needs to turn to the side. I believe in my original design, this light here was used to light up things beside it, and then I had lights on the back that were also the same. So, with that in mind, I'm going to quickly put a light there on both sides so that it can act as like a little area light as well. And then I'll stick one here as well. And this just helps visibility while you're out cutting down trees. Speaking of which, I'm going to put a warning light up here, and then a warning light on the cab. And these attach to... This one attaches to front motor. This one attaches to the rear motor. There we go. Okay. So whenever this is running, whenever these wheels are turning, this light will also spin. And then whenever these are spinning, that light will also spin. Okie dokie, so now it's time for the logic. As I mentioned, truck version. Ooh, I should hook up the steering really quick. Okay, so steering. These two bearings, and then those two bearings. So the bearing on the wheel, and then the two in the middle. And then, as usual, just, adjust them all so that it's left is left and right is right. Okay, logic, finally. If you're doing the full standalone truck variant, as I mentioned, the logic will go under the passenger seat. However, if you're doing the trailer variant, the logic will go back here. So we need a controller for this bearing, that bearing, and the piston. I'm going to put it underneath just to help keep it a bit more protected. I'm going to stick it here. And then connect it to that, and that, and then that one. So, the way we need to I don't remember turning that on. Oh yeah, I did, okay. Either way, that'll be actually turned on in a moment. So, the way this works is the piston will lift it so that when this turns 90 degrees, we want this bearing to be in line with the top of resource holder thingies. Words. I suck with words. So, I'm going to go 90 on bearing 2. And it's already at the right height. Interesting. I could have sworn it was a little different than that. I thought the piston had to go up as well. I could have made this a little different by accident. But, whatever. I'm going to take the piston off of that controller. So then it can be separate. Okay. And now this one goes, 45? This one basically just rotates until it folds down onto the top of refiners. Okay, yeah, the piston does have to go up a bit so that it can fold all the way. I believe the piston only has to go up by 1 block. There we go, because now the bearing's properly in place, I think. This is acting really weird. Not fold anymore. I'm gonna try 15 more degrees on that. Let's go 5. See if that's still on as much of an angle. I don't know, but you get the idea. I'm going to temporarily put a switch there. Once we have everything so that it can be folded, I'm going to knock this back down to 45. This now goes... Since this is the reverse, I'm going to go first like so. And then have this one the forwards one. And then piston goes down to 0. Of course it's going to be all weird now. I could have sworn that used to clip through there. So the top needs to bend a little bit less. Let's just go to 30 degrees. Needs to go a little bit more than 30, so probably like 35 or so, but either way, you can fine-tune it a little bit so this bends down as much as it can. And then when you press the switch, it comes back down and it's ready for the trees. And then when you back up to a tree, once the tree goes in front of this sensor, this will turn on. Which reminds me, this is 1, 2, 3, 6. Okay, this sensor gets set to 6. 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then this one gets set to about 12. Maybe 13. It's hard to tell. Either way, this one gets set so that it can see to here as well. And then as I said, once there's a tree shoved in here, it automatically turns on. Another thing I'll mention really quick, once this does its thing, you can now see that should be going up. Why is the piston not going up? Either way, you can now see how this works as taillights here, because this folds up. I'm going to make sure this is set properly. Interesting. Folded, unfold that, and then piston. I'm gonna go like that. So the piston moves first and last. And then I'm going to add a couple more degrees to this. I don't know. Either way, that is the tail. And then the controller for the front goes underneath the front, of course. So I will stick that right here. Attach that to there. I also should grab the logic gate for it. Stick that onto that, and then the logic gate goes to the motor. This motor can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So. Ooh. Okay, it works properly once the switch is on, or connected. We now need the logic gate for the back, which will go next to controller. And these two sensors will go to this one. And we set it, or leave it set to AND. That one should be set to AND. Yep. And then I typically put my signal module on top of the motors here, but since I have the gas tank in the middle, I will have to offset it when I get to that. So now, I'm going to put some buttons inside. Yeah, see, that's why we need the switch attached. This is also why we leave the roof open. So, switch number 2 is going to be the headlights. Should grab the button as well. Button. Okay, so switch 2 is headlights. Switch 3 is high beams. And then 4 and 5 are the turn signals. 6 and 7 are for the front and the rear. So this switch goes to that gate. That will now shut that off. And this gate also goes to the light to turn it off. And 7 will go to this logic gate, which then comes back to both of these motors and light. So now, oh yeah, it also needs to go to controller that is controlling the blades, which I forgot to set a motion to. I think it comes down by like 45 or so. Just enough to reach the ground. I'm also going to put this switch back in so that I can access the logic easier. I think that was that one. Okay, so 45 isn't enough, of course. Needs to go 105, just past 90 degrees. A little bit too far. 100 degrees? Just enough that it'll cut the stumps on the trees. And then if I walk in front of it, it'll turn on. Then once the stump is gone, it turns off. Lower the seat. Bring that back up. I think I made it go a little too far, but whatever. And there we go. That's the front done. I will check the back really quick. Did I not connect it? Oh, I didn't connect the gate to the controller. Why is the gate not connecting to the controller? Oh, because this switch is still attached. There we go. I forgot to get rid of that switch. There we go. Now that should go there. Okay. So now, I'm going to make sure that goes up properly again. Why is the piston not working? So confused with that. But if I go... so? Ooh, I did that wrong. Okay. So, this switch goes directly to the controller. Okay. So the inside switch goes directly to the controller. And that is bending too far for some reason. And then once you back into a tree that's on the ground, should turn on. Yep, there we go. And you'll want to make sure these all rotate the right way, which these ones are not, so that it actually sucks in the tree. There we go. I'm going to check the rotation really quick. This is a bit of a long tutorial, I apologize. That's why it's being weird. Okay, yeah, this is a bit of a long tutorial and probably a little hard to follow. Like I said, it's been quite a while since I've done this. That should go back up. Come on. There we go. It goes back up out of the way. It looks like the piston's trying to lift it, it just can't. Seat should also be attached to there at this point. I attached it to the switch by accident. There we go, okay. So my wheels are all backwards. And one of those is backwards. Both of those backwards. There we go. I will have to adjust these, so we press E on it. Change it to about 10 degrees for now. On both of them. So that the body or the wheels don't hit it when everything turns. I also need to up the engine power, but this should be it. It should be usable now. Oh. Wheels are backwards because all the backwardsness. There we go. It is now working. Ooh, lag. Too close to the cozy. And you can change all the, like, turning radiuses and whatnot to get the desired turning radius on everything. So I will test this out. Press 6 to drop down the front. I need to extend this out by a little bit. Go. Tree. Then we turn around. The nice thing about having this built as the trailer is you can cut down the trees and then use the weld tool to weld them all into a straight line usually. I don't think you can pick them up with the lift. I'm pretty sure you can weld them all together in a straight line. Back the trailer up so that it grabs on, and it'll just work its way down the line of trees and cut them off for you. I'm not sure if it's letting me weld because... Yeah, I'm not sure if it's letting me do this because I'm using a modded version of Survival or not. But either way, cut down a bunch of trees, weld them together in just one big line of tree. And then, if you're using the trailer version, it'll just work its way down the line of tree on its own. And it's just a bit more convenient. But as you can tell with this version, I wonder why the back end is being so slow. Either way, once I get this into position, I can now adjust this sensor. Oops, door's backwards. Alright, so if I shove that into there, this sensor needs to go up a little bit more. You can see it is slowly sucking up the tree. So I need to turn the blades up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that one up to 3. And there we go. That's how it works. Since the tree and the truck itself are so heavy, it's having a little bit of difficulty dragging them. But basically done. And then every now and then you do get a little straggler that pops out the side like this. Just kind of get it back to where you need it to be. And everything works nicely. Alrighty. So now that that is working, everything works nicely. I am going to put on, or do all the lights. So, for the lights, we need a gate for the high beams. I'm going to paint everything really quick too. So, normal headlights are 5. High beams go up to 10. Signals stay the way they are, and then these bottom ones go up to 10. These go up to 10, and these go up to 10. Kind of convenient it's going to nighttime, so it'll help see, or let us actually visualize it all. I'm going to add in another, I can, jump. I will add another switch for the lights. I should have put the bearing for that seat in a different spot. But these lights will connect to this switch over here. So, and then I need one that sticks out the back as well. And where do I want to put this one? I'll put these ones here. Oops, I forgot to paint that one. And then, since there's 2 on this side, or on the back, I'm just going to set them to 9. 8, whatever. Connect these up to that. So now whenever it is dark out, we press the switch that isn't connected to the seat. There we go. Connect. There we go. I think I connected it to the wrong thing, but either way. Then we press 8, and we can see everything around us. 2 goes directly to headlights, which are the outer ones. And then 2 and 3 go to, 3 goes to the logic gate. Okay, I'm now remembering how I do this. I'm going to go back into the garage really quick so I can have better light to do this. I'm just forgetting a logic gate, so one moment. Okay, so now that I think about it a little bit more, I'm not forgetting a logic gate, I just have it set up wrong. 3 goes directly to the high beams. And then 3 goes to the logic gate. The logic gate goes to the normal headlights, not number 2. The logic gate to the headlights. 2 goes to the gate. So we have switch 2 and 3. 2 goes to the logic gate. 3 goes to the logic gate. But 3 also goes to the high beams. This way, 2, oops, I forgot to set the logic gate. Of course I did. We want to set it to OR. OR, there we go. So now that the logic gate is set to OR, if we press 2, the lights are supposed to come on. Really? What I'm trying to do is make it so that to logic gate, the lights. I want it so that the high beams can come on their own, or the normal lights can come on their own, but then the high beams activate both sets of lights. Did I connect everything to the right things? Oh, it didn't switch to OR. Okay, so now that it's switched to OR, it should work. So there we go, we've got normal, just the headlights, and then the high beams are both. Awesome. And then we've got side lights. Okie dokie. Now, for the tail lights really quick. The tail lights are super simple. We need a controller and a piston for the tail lights. Controller, a piston, a sensor, and I'm not exactly sure what else. But either way, we put the piston on with sensor, controller on top. Controller goes to piston set to 1. That should be set to 0. And then the seat goes directly to the controller. The sensor then goes to our taillights. I'm going to go to the outer taillights because number 2 is going to go to the inner taillights. Like so. I'm also going to change this up a little bit. I'm going to add a logic gate to each light. So instead, the sensor is going to go to these 2 logic gates and then to the lights. These logic gates are going to be set to XOR, I believe. And I am now going to take out my signal module. My version of the signal module should be on the workshop. Looks like it is. But Brent Batch's module is way better. I will take out mine so it's not so hard to figure out and remember how to use. So, 2 of them are for the switches, left and right. The middle ones are for sensors to detect which way you are turning. And then the other 2 logic gates are for the actual lights. But I can't remember which way is which with Brent Batches. This is the output, so I'm going to weld it with this to the front. So, I wanted that to be facing the other way, but whatever. So that's the input. So therefore 4 is going to go on the left side. 5 is going to go on that side. This is going to go there. This one is going to go there. Okay. And then it is also going to go to these. Now that should be working taillights. I will paint these red. Here we go. And then, oops, I just alt-tabbed by accident. Wow, this video is almost an hour and a half long. Okay. We now need sensor to detect when we're turning. So one goes there, and one goes there, and these attach to the middle ones. Like so. Now those are done flashing. So now, if I press 4, left should start working. If I hit W, brake lights should turn off. If I hit S, they should turn back on. And then if I turn left, when I let go, it's supposed to stop. But I kind of wired it wrong. These sensors need to be crossed. The sensor to that side, and the sensor to that side. Just because I put them in front of the wheel. If I put it behind the wheel, it would have been proper. So now let's try that again. Okay, so 4. And then turn left, let go, and it turns off. Awesome. That is all the lights. Just because of little details that I like to do, I'm also going to do a simple cab light. So that's going to be 2 more switches. And a logic gate, or 2, at least 1. Because I'll just use 1 for now. So that if any of these switches are active, this light will turn on. Then I will connect the door switches to this logic gate. And then I will connect both of these switches to it. And now, if either door opens, the interior light will come on. Or if either the driver or the passenger want, they can access it or activate it separately. And there we go. That is basically it. All I forgot to do was put the battery pack in the back. You'll probably want to put it on an angle like that so you can see it. And then connect it to there. And yeah, there we go. It's full. There we go. And there we go. That's basically it. We are finally done. The wood harvester thingy that I've spent the last 2 years not doing a proper tutorial on. I also haven't recorded a video this long in a long time, so hopefully for anyone that's still playing Scrap Mechanic, it's kind of going dead at the moment because the devs have left it for so long. I think we've gone over a year since the last update, or even teaser, but for those of you still somehow playing this, I'm still playing it. I love it, but I hope this helps. This is quite a nice vehicle to have in survival, whether you use the full truck variant or just the trailer. I will quickly, at some point this week, go through and clean it up, just make it look a little bit better, make the bag work a little better, and clean up the wiring, paint it, whatnot, and upload it to the workshop. I just ask that, no one re-uploads it, but yeah. I hope this is helpful if you decide to build it on your own. If you have any issues, check in the description. Hopefully there will be a link to it on the workshop. If not, feel free to ask in the comments below. I forgot to put a sensor on the seat, so I will do that really quick. It's 2, because of how it works. Set them to 3. And then this will basically just make it so that the taillights don't work unless you are sitting in the seat. So set this to OR. Connect both of these to that. Put 2 more gates here. Like I said, I'll clean this up after as well. Instead of this going directly to the light, I'm going to make it go to here. Okay. And then this gate goes to these 2 gates. And now it is required that you are sitting in the seat for taillights to work. Okay. And we can now see that whenever the doors open, that turns on, and then it can turn on separately. Now the lights are on. I get out. They should be off. There we go. Okay. So now it is finally done. At least in a completely 100% usable state that isn't really missing anything. So I'm going to finally end this video because it's been an hour and a half, and it is now midnight for me. So, as always, I hope this was interesting. I hope this helps. I hope this gives you, like, inspiration or whatever. And yeah, typical outro stuff. So, as usual, I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.